And we're live. Welcome to Rewind with Ellen. I'm your host, Ellen Wanjero. Ro.
I'm your co-host, Ro Carter. Hi, Ellen. How are you?
Oh my God. Everything that could have possibly gone wrong within the last 5 minutes on my end almost did.
Oh, okay.
My brother showed up, rang the doorbell at 8:28. My mom turns on the TV and then says, "Where's mute?" And then my sister's alarm goes off. Her alarm to watch the show goes off at 8:30. It's chaos, but I love it. How are you?
I'm sweating profusely. I just ran 2 states. So I'm here. I made
it. God bless you. You made it. And so happy birthday. You just celebrated a special day on Tuesday, October 19th. How was your day?
Yeah, Ellen, you're gonna do this to me right now?
I am, absolutely.
So, quick story. I just realized I was 44.
Oh shit, okay.
I thought I was 43. And so my cousin, he texted me, happy 44th birthday. I'm like, now mind you, I'm in a suit. I'm feeling good. I'm like, oh man, this is my day. I'm gonna do my thing. I got 2 years to get my life together.
2.
He says 44, and he's like, I'm like, no, Dave, it's 43. And he's like,
you forgot?
He's like, you were born in 77, right? I'm like, yeah. He's like, nah, brother, you 44. That's an old man thing you just did right there. I was like, damn. So then I cried a little bit because I realized I only have 1 year left to get my life together.
You cried a little bit?
Hi, we're here. Let's have some fun.
Wait, so what did you do? I mean, you want to talk about that or
I can't
no?
tell anybody on the show what I did because I might get fired, but
okay, never mind.
I will just say my team, thank you, my team. They took care of me. I'll leave it at that.
Nice. Okay.
Yes.
Well, that makes you a Libra. What are men Libra like? My sister's a Libra. I'm clear on what women Libra are like.
So interesting. I an ex-girlfriend of mine, she had 2 kids. Both were in the signs of Libra. So it was interesting to see the guys and girls. So I totally understand that. And so she was her daughter was the earlier cusp of that. So for me, I'm true to the Libra signs, but I feel the women are more introverts unless they know you.
Mm-hmm.
Then they are truly who they are. And I am normally like that, but if I don't know you, I'm kind of like,
right,
reserved. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, what's up? Yeah. So that's about it. Someone sent me some astrological signs about my kind of love energy and stuff like that. I'm not gonna go into that because that was kind of creepy. It was almost on point a little bit. So that's another episode.
It's a whole other episode.
I am very charismatic. I'm honest to a fault sometimes. So I mean, by honest, maybe not as good in relationships, but friendships, I'm the best friend you want to have.
Okay.
Boyfriend, working on that. Friend? Yeah, you want me. I'm good times.
Good to know. Things to know about Ro. He's a Libra. His birthday was this past Tuesday, and he can't tell us too much about it because he might get fired. Okay. We're all caught up. And so our 2 top favorite viewers just logged on. Hey.
Our only viewers ever.
Our only viewers.
What's up, Rashad? What's up?
Rashad says, hey, Elle and Ro, and Cheryl Perk says, hey,
Cheryl,
what's up, y'all? Hi, Rashad and Cheryl. Thank you for tuning in. All right. So today, Rashad says, happy belated birthday, Ro.
Thank you.
Wow. Okay. So today we are talking about Our Kind of People, episode 5, the miseducation of the Negro. Ooh. This was yet another good episode. Lots of things transpired. And so the episode synopsis is Angela asks Tyrique for a favor. Angela also tries to get Nikki accepted into the Oak Bluffs Cotillion. Raymond confides in Olivia. Leah is shocked by Lauren's behavior. Teddy's condition worsens. And so that's where we're going to start. So yeah, it's only right that Angela Vaughn, Yaya DaCosta's character, rolls up on Tyrique to ask him for a favor. I mean, who else are you going to go to, to ask for help to escort your daughter to the cotillion? Now, that scene was interesting because I respect and love Lance Gross's character Tyrique for this, because he could not say yes until he fessed up. What did you think of that?
That's a true man.
Yeah.
That's a true man right there. You got to stuff before you can take that next step. And you know what? I love how she also said, Angela was like, listen, I ain't trying to make you her daddy or anything like that. Because that sometimes it can come out of left field, right? You vibe with somebody that has a daughter, especially if it's different ages, and it's cool and everything, and then they put you in a situation where it's like, hey, everything's cool. I don't really know you that well, but I feel comfortable enough to trust you with my daughter and her experience that she's going to go into. And so that was a big step for them, but, I don't.
Yeah, he that was a big risk on his part, right? But it also speaks to his character, because it takes a special kind of person to tell the truth before the other person finds out. I feel like the damage control is much better if you confess before I find out. But in true female form, Angela, the way she responded, like she quit him, she broke up with him, get out of my life, I never want to see you again. And so, it's interesting, her reaction, because I kind of struggled, like, was that the right thing to do? Was it impulsive for her to respond that way? But then we kind of find out later on why she did that when she has a conversation with her daughter, Nikki, Alana Bright's character. And her daughter, essentially checks her like, yo, you haven't been in a relationship in so long. And, the minute you get in one, when they mess up, you're ready to break it off, forgive them. And I kind of like that. I kind of like that mother-daughter relationship where you can kind of reset your mother just as much as she resets you. As a daughter. And so I love the advice Nikki gave her mom, and it's relatable across all boards for women. So I don't know what I would have done, though.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, what would you have done in that situation?
I don't know. Like the adult side of me likes to think that I would have looked at him confessing when he did. I like to think I would have taken that into consideration. But also the emotional and impetuous side of me might have probably responded the same way. So I can't really call it. Yeah.
Question: if, let's say, he didn't confess then, and he actually did the dance with her daughter, then because now things have really gone to another level, he confesses. Does that help his case, or does that make it worse?
I think that would make it worse, because you had opportunity to tell me the truth, but then now you're going to walk my daughter, you're going to escort my daughter in this super important situation.
Only because I care about you, and I felt, not that I felt bad, but I wanted to be a part of this, and I'm sorry it started off this way, but now, I really do care for you.
I don't know, that would have added on to more doubt.
Okay.
I still have doubt. I'm still looking at him, a little crazy, like, do I trust you wholeheartedly, or do I always have to sleep with one eye open? And Rashad sort of agrees with that, because he says, I think that was admirable, but I'm still looking at him with the side eye, and I agree. But what is it going to take for us to never look at him with the side eye? You know what I mean?
Well, hold on to you and Rashad's point here. Hold on. Watch this. Angela hasn't been completely honest with her daughter. So she actually omitted to something about her baby's daddy to him, but not to her daughter. So everybody's playing these secret games. Like, come on, baby girl. You won't even tell your daughter what's going on. Your daughter. You won't get mad at me because I was trying to do this? Come on.
I mean, potato. You gotta. Those are different relationships. Mother-daughter, there's a reason she didn't tell her. She's protecting her. Tyrique is protecting her against what? The further he goes in with the lie, the worse it's going to be for him. I don't know. It's a different dynamic, mother-daughter versus boyfriend-girlfriend.
Everybody has these secrets.
Yeah, so everyone. Right.
Hey, I'm going to give you, everybody should at least be allowed one secret.
At the very least.
And after that, if you still have more, that's on you.
Yeah.
But allotted one secret. Like, okay, you know what? Get that one off. Now, if there's more little crazy, shady stuff that I find out down the line, then that's when I'm going to start judging you.
But what's so fun about this show is that everyone has at least 5 secrets.
Yeah. That's so
So we
be big. Your first
exactly.
one. Oh, that's a lot.
And so again, I'm glad she listens and she decides to forgive him, which also leads to them sort of teaming up to figure out what Teddy is hiding in his home office as it relates to Teddy's older brother's journals, which could or could not implicate him in some crack situation back in the 80s. Like, what? Where did that come from? Doesn't it feel a little left field, or am I tripping?
I like went to another show, right? That we were watching, right? I was like,
right.
Oh, he was involved in that in Detroit. Is that
right? Yeah. So I don't know how what to think of that. Like, he was selling crack, like he was supporting the crack epidemic in the 80s, and yeah, so that's interesting. But it's not far-fetched now because people go through whatever they're going through back in the day, and then they transform into who they who he is now. So I'm interested to seeing how they unravel that storyline. I have
4. That's on season 4.
Way down the line.
There you go.
All right. So the next scene or moment that was kind of epic, and I think we kind of both agree on this, is when Angela tries to get Nikki accepted into the Oak Bluffs Cotillion. And that really awesome moment between her and her sister. There's nothing more pressing and powerful than a mother who is fighting for her child. And that is Angela Vaughn. Like the fact that she decided to just take on that $25K to get her daughter in the cotillion when she could have easily taken the money from her dad. What say you?
Yeah, that was a tough moment there. We talked about that earlier. Sorry. Whew, $25K.
That's a lot.
I gotta really love you.
That's
at that point. 25. It's not like 25,000 over a period of time. It's like, here you go. This is 25. It's 25,000. But what I will, just to backtrack a little bit, I love Leah and Angela's kind of coming together there, that moment that they had, and like, hey, you know what? We are sisters. I see what you're doing. It's hard, right? You're trying to work for your kids and provide for them and establish this foundation so that they have something to kind of build on down the line. And so that's what they get it. And I love that Leah kind of finally got, hey, I see Angela's a hustler. That's what she does. And she has a good product behind that hustle. So, you know what? I'm going to give her an opportunity. And that's, I think we all argue about that. Hey, you know what? People of color don't have these opportunities. But here's the catch, right? Even when you get the opportunity, it's still going to cost you.
Yeah. And
so that $25K is big. And so, I mean, to ask you, are you taking the money from Pops or are you letting that slide?
That's a struggle, right? Because I know what strings come with me taking that $25K from Pops, especially that particular Pops. And so I would never want to be seen as, I need a handout, especially if I know there's a slight possibility that I can get it up myself, which is what Angela ends up doing. She ends up selling her couture gowns and gets that bread up quick, right? Quick, fast, and in a hurry. And, going back to a mom doing what she has to do to get her kid where the kid needs to go. And so I appreciate Angela's transparency about, the fact that she should have done more. She could have done more to prepare Nikki, and she didn't. And so going back to your point, they always seem to connect in each episode whenever it has to do with motherhood, right? Because that's their common ground that isn't affected by all the murkiness. And I love that we get to see that in each episode, but in different ways. And I love the line that Angela hit Leah with, like, yo, she can't jump a line she was never invited to in the first place. Like, come on, cut me a break. But, it is what it is. Would you have taken the $25K?
Yeah.
Damn, you didn't even think about it.
I'm not even gonna hesitate. No. And here's why though. It wasn't for me. Right?
Okay.
For my kid. And so that's the bigger picture. And so I can sleep at night knowing that it was for my child. And that's the only reason why I there's no hesitation on that. If it was for me, then yeah, that's more personal stuff. I got to think about that. But for my child, hey, I'm gonna do whatever I can, and all I gotta do is ask for it. I ain't gotta do anything shady.
Yeah.
Might come back to bite me later. I gotta owe somebody, but hey, it's my all right. I'm sacrificing myself on there. My child won't have to deal with that. So, gotta take the hit.
I respect that. Okay. So Raymond confides in Olivia, his mother. Whew. This might have been one of my favorite scenes. It hurt a little bit, but it was impactful in the way that it needed to be. The family, the Franklin family, is at the Scipio Gun Club, which we find out was named for a former slave, and we see, that that thin line of, the white folks that live on the island, and how they respond to the black people that live on the island, but they think that they're there vacationing for the summer. Nah, bro, we live here. So it's not just a summer tan. Oh, that burned my biscuits, but then that's just the reality of what it is. But in that scene, Raymond sort of checks his mom, which was beautiful. I feel like this is the first time he's grabbed his balls and just kind of stood up for what he wants to do. Did you think it was right for him to say what he said to his mom, or are you down? Or do you not agree, rather?
Black moms, I don't play around. My mom, I love you, Mom. I'll be really quick. I think I cursed my mom out on the phone to my friend, not even to her.
Okay, I was gonna say.
I heard it on the phone, and she still beat my ass. And so the most I've ever said to my mom was like, "Please be quiet," and that was it. And then that still felt bad in my soul. So he checked his mom, realized like, oh, I was like, I thought something was gonna happen, like a boot or something. Hit him upside the head. That moment, like you said, to piggyback on what you said earlier, it was a very powerful moment. My family has a house up in my other cousins have a house up in New Hampshire area, Knoxwood area. It's like a private gated community. And I remember being one of the only black kids there. And my aunt said to me, as a child, at 7 years old, she said to me, listen, she said, you know what? If anything ever happens, just come and get me. I'm 7 years old. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean is that if anything happens? Like, what does that mean? And she's like, you just don't know. And it's right, because you are the only person of color there. Just don't know, especially at that time, in the early 80s. And I was like, okay. And so nothing ever happened out of the ordinary, that I was like, oh my God, traumatizing. But as I got into my teen years, we're out there. This place has like a private golf course. And so my cousins and I were all going to play. They look, in the summertime, they kind of look like Rick Fox. They got that tan, like,
Okay.
Are they, exactly, where are they from? And then I'm black. So we're all going to play golf. And then this older white woman comes up to us, excuse me, are you guys, who are you with? Who are we with? What do you mean, who are we with? Like, never been checked before in our lives, because we've always been with an adult. But because it was us, now we have age, so they kind of do things on our own. She checked us, and we dropped the last name, and she was like, okay, all right, go about your business. And so I felt that moment. I felt that moment so strong right there. And in the history, the title of this chapter is huge, this episode, because, again, we keep on learning and learning and learning about stuff we've never even heard of.
Yeah.
And I find it it's 2021. I'm like, damn, this is crazy that this stuff went on, and how the hustle was, right? He would hide the pheasants, right? And then hustle later and sell them. I'm like,
and that's what builds.
But that's the entrepreneur that we are. The hustle in us is so beautiful. And it's like, how do we make a business out of that, right? How do we get allowed to make a business out of that? And so I'm so prideful, and I find the beauty in us all the time, and it comes in all different shapes and colors, and it's remarkable how we survive this every time. And so whenever I ask who's the smartest human, listen, I say we are. There's some dumb people out there, but we are so resourceful, and how we keep alive the hope inside of us. Think about slavery and just that energy, to keep the drum and the beat going, just to get us motivated and mobile. To say, hey, you know what? I know we don't want to do this trek, but we're going to make the best of this trek together as a tribe. And there's beauty in that, right? Never selfishness, never ego. It's about us. It's about family. And so I wish you'd see that more and more. You're starting to see it a little bit more, but that's the beautiful. I think that's the nucleus of us as a whole. I'm done.
And that's what that scene really is about. What you just explained, the resourcefulness and the resilience. And Olivia, Raymond's mom, sums it up beautiful when she says the best way to win a war is to never let the enemy that they're in one to begin with. My
Amen.
God.
Amen.
Listen, I wrote that down. And so Rashad, in response to your monologue, just said, "Well said." I agree.
Hey, sorry, Rashad. I get a little long tongue there. I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, but you said it beautifully. So and it resonates. So thank you for saying it. So going back to Raymond, sort of standing up for himself, but really telling his mother like what it is, and so Olivia, her response to him is interesting. So basically Raymond tells Olivia, like, listen, I reached out to the ex, Alex Rivera, played by Melissa D'Souza. And so the mom is just like, WTF. And, and she says, it took our family years to recover from her. Like, what happened with Raymond's ex-wife that it took the whole family to recover? Like, was there money involved that, was taken from them, and which is kind of tied to Darman? I'm not sure. I tried to speculate and come up with theories, but that's the only one I could come up with.
I think it's a whole undercover thing. I mean,
you do?
It's probably blackmail to the fifth power.
Yeah. And so we also see Raymond like really starting to pull further back from his wife, Leah, which kind of sucks because I love them as a couple. Because, in the scene in the bedroom, Raymond asks Leah if she knows about Legacy LLC. And Leah is like, no. And then she sort of deflects and, tries to seduce him, meet me in the shower in 5 minutes sort of thing. And so, right. And then I loved his response. Yeah, let's make it 3. And so when she goes into the shower, he goes into her laptop, and sure enough, in her email, he searches Legacy and it comes up. So the look on his face is just like, oh my God. And so, what's going to happen to them as a couple? I don't want to see, the dismantling of that Black love, specifically them, but it might come if Leah keeps shucking and jiving her husband.
Well, is it truly love if this is coming between you?
I mean, it started out as love. Like,
it's funny though, right? I mean, we don't know, right? Because we're seeing these characters at a later part of their lives, right? So we don't really know the history they have or what really happened to his company. Like, we're learning pieces and pieces. So I think as we start to divulge that and figure that out, maybe we have a better opportunity to understand their relationship. Because again, we don't know like why he was bailed out, like how much of had in that. So I think the quicker we can find that out, the better we can figure them out as a couple, and then understand, is there really weight in their relationship, or is it just all fluff?
I mean, we get a tidbit of that when Leah gifts Lauren with a horse, and Leah kind of tells a little bit of the backstory of how her and Raymond met. But to your point, it's not enough for us to like come to the conclusion like they were madly in love at some point. What's holding them together? Is it just the power and the money and just family? Never mind the love and respect for each other and trust, which is lacking. But speaking of Lauren, man, so Lauren's character is interesting because like we know that she's struggling. We know that she's going through a lot, but we really don't know how she's feeling. We just know how she's reacting, there's a big difference between a response and a reaction. And so she's like going off the deep end. Like, before we even go there, I do like that she asked her mother if Taylor could escort her at the cotillion, which is like, what? And in that moment, she comes out to Mama Liv and tells her that she's gay. And man, Mama Liv's reaction response is golden. She's like, gay? Is it happy? Oh my God, I chuckled because that is such an old school response. Yeah, but
she might listen. Olivia had 2 scenes that she knocked it out the park, and when she told the history of the land, when they're shooting the guns, shooting the pheasants and stuff like that, and then that scene was like, wait, what? Gay?
Right.
Like, woo! But it was real though, right?
Yes, it was.
It was real. And I know old black folks, that is not something that's a comfortable conversation, or even they're like, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom or something's like, it's just like it wasn't taboo. I was talking to my barber the other day about that. I was telling, hey, we're doing this show, and like, he has a daughter and his son. He didn't know, like, it was very weird. I didn't know if he liked boys or was trying to figure it out. I mean, boys or girls, and he's like, no, Dad, I like girls, but he was just a very private child. And so you, as a adult male in 2020s, in this decade, it takes some maturity to be like, hey, I'm gonna love my child unconditionally, regardless. And especially you've been like, yo, I've been in the streets hanging out, doing all this stuff. But it takes a true man to have that growth and be like, hey, listen, I'm gonna humble myself for a second, take this in, talk to my child, and understand what my child needs. And so this was Leah's moment as well, right? She really opened up as a parent, said, you know what, hey, yo, moms, check. I'm gonna check you right here. I love her and I love this idea. And I didn't think she was gonna be all for it. And she had that rapport with her daughter. And that was a beautiful scene. I think, listen, I say it every week, I'm gonna say it again. This show is breaking so many barriers by having those tough conversations that I don't think a lot of people are having, regardless, white, black, blue, wherever you are. You're not having it in those households. And so now we have a show that's really trying to discuss these tough topics that are hard to have at the dinner table, right? It's uncomfortable. And shout out to Lauren's character. I think that's she was a teenager. She really was. Just teenagers just slammed the door. I'm like, what the hell is wrong?
Yeah, that's true.
And that's who she was. She's like, I think teenagers need to, we were all teenagers at one point, right? But we were all going through different things at that current time. And so we all had to deal with it our own way before we were able to express it to somebody else, because we didn't even know how to explain it to ourselves. And I think that's what you're seeing, but in real time. And so, again, I applaud this show for just dealing with the tough topics and trying to handle them as so many which ways they can, but it's real life, right? And I think that's what we all go through, trying to understand these things that kind of pertain to our lifestyle or who we are or who our family is.
And I love that it's a show about the Black elite, but the problems that they are going through are very relatable. It doesn't matter your socioeconomic status. And so it makes it relatable on so many levels, and it doesn't alienate people who, are not part of that life. And so that's kind of dope, to your point. And so shout out to Rhyon Nicole Brown, who plays Lauren, because she does a really good job. She pisses me off every episode, because she's a brat. She's like the perfect spoiled rich girl brat, but she's going through some real ish. And so she spirals after she sees Taylor and Nikki kiss, right? Like there was a little bit of hope before she saw them kiss on that party bus. Like it looked like she'd taken Taylor's advice and, was willing to warm up to Nikki, but not so much after that kiss. So the cotillion was really the place for Nikki to shine. Like each girl, you had to get up and talk about their dreams and their goals, their future goals. And so when Nikki gets up, she's talking about what she wants to do. For the first time, we hear that, she wants to be a creative writer. She wants to be an author. She wants to change the world through, books and writing. And then what does her sister do? What does her cousin do? Gets up and, under the guise of being there for her cousin, mentions something about her criminal background in front of the Spelman rep that's in the audience. So that was so dirty. Like, what kind of person do you have to be to do that? Like, it's almost like Lauren has no soul. I'm not sure what to make of her. Yeah, and then what Taylor ends up breaking up with her after that. And I love what Taylor says to her at the end of that scene. Like, yo, you are broken and I don't want to be with you. And that's a real ish. I know you've kind of been Team Taylor or not Team Taylor. Like, how do you feel about that?
I hated on Team Taylor last week. I did. I said, hey, she's playing both sides, but now,
right. Which she was.
I think she was. Now I don't think she's playing both sides, right? She's trying to figure out. Again, we all try to figure out who we like, and especially teenagers. Like, I like somebody one day, and then the other week I don't. But she really tried to have a legit relationship with Lauren, and Lauren was like kind of all over the place because she had all these other pressures. But if you really truly care about somebody, you're willing to risk it. And Lauren gave Taylor that inclination that she was ready to risk it all. Now she is, but it's past the fact, right? And
Yeah.
now the Taylor's part, she's like, listen, I'm gonna go with somebody I'm feeling and vibing who's just trying to be a good person, and that's what she feels. So it's interesting, right? But also I have to understand Lauren's frustration. Like I see the person who I'm gonna give it all up for, right? It's like one of those fairy tale stories. I'm gonna make the sacrifice. I'm gonna give up this, my riches, my rags to riches, because I care about you, right? And I've told my mom, I told my dad, Grammy almost passed out on me, and now sacrifices, it's too little too late, right? In Taylor's eyes. And so it hurts. I can only imagine. So what do you do as a teenager, right? Instead of you addressing Taylor like, hey, you hurt me. I didn't deserve that. Or maybe I did, but you could have done it in a better way. You could have told me you wanted to do this versus sneaking around my back. That's an adult level of conversation. And again, she's not ready to have that because she's still trying to understand who she is as a person.
And also, it doesn't help that her mother raised her the way that she did, right? Never to take, be accountable, never to factor in other people's feelings and emotions, which, says a lot because Leah wasn't raised that way, right? Her mother had mental issues. Her father was just, void of emotion. So he never gave her or showed her emotion. So how was she supposed to sort of, pour that into her own children? So we see the manifestation of Leah's parenting, in Lauren, which has to be hard for Leah, and which comes out at the dinner table. And first of all, when Lauren did what she did, and then Taylor broke up with her, I'm thinking after that, okay, we're going to see a remorseful Lauren, but no, at this dinner table, what does she do in the middle of Nikki giving her speech? Totally disregards it, totally disrespectful. And I love that Leah checked the hell out of her. Like, finally, you are putting your foot down, and she kicks Lauren out of the cotillion and banishes her to her room. And yeah, I'm curious to see how Lauren grows out of this stage. Is it gonna take a while? Because this spoiled rich kid bratty behavior is dramatic, and it adds to the drama of it all. But I don't know how much more of that I can take.
Though I've been at friends' houses and tables, and I've seen their daughter or their son go in a temper tantrum and just go like this, and I'm like, yo! And I just sit back like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. And then they check the child right at the table and say, get your behind up and get out of here. And I was like, so that was real for me. I've seen that in real life.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I applaud. I mean, listen, it's tough for a parent. But you only do it in front of people who you trust and you believe is family when you check your family in front of family.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if you really got that. That's a moment. You know that. Everybody has that, there's certain people you like, what? When everybody leaves, we got to talk.
Right.
For you to check somebody right there, that's a big step in terms of like you respect people in the room and you know that they're your family. Regardless if it's just overnight, there's definitely some camaraderie there. Like, hey, we're starting to build something together, and there's a trust factor there. Even though there's a lot of shady trust going on, but there's definitely a trust factor there to say, hey, I'm going to check my child because, again, she did nothing wrong. And you just gave me $25,000, so I guess I got to fight for you a little bit.
I mean, in that moment, Leah seemed sincere, right? She seemed like, genuine in that moment. So hopefully it was, but I don't care who's at the table. You come out your face, you're getting checked. I don't care who else is at the table. Absolutely. Listen, if you're going to come out in your face, I'm not going to hold my tongue to curse you out after the fact. I'm going to give you back what you gave out.
She didn't come out. Well, hold on though. She didn't really come. She just didn't pay it. She ignored it though. She didn't. So it's two sides, right? It's not like she was talking back and doing that. She literally was just like, she was playing that role. So that's a different.
No, that's a different situation. I'm talking about the example you just gave, how some families will just, check folks within that family structure. And I'm saying, no.
Oh, you don't. Now you're going to get checked regardless.
Right. And it depends on the level of checking that started, right? So, but.
Good to know. Thanksgiving. Watch your back.
Right. And so really quick, Rashad, in regards to Lauren, he says, being rich and privileged, she's used to always getting her way. Very good point. So being ruthless and conniving is second nature. Right. Just like her mama, just like her granddad, just like everybody else before her. So it's, it's part of their
I want to label all the rich people I like.
I didn't say all, I'm just saying her family.
I want to label everybody. I don't want to say everybody rich is like that, but there's a percentage of people that are like.
Oh, good point, Rashad. Lauren is giving a young Fallon Carrington in a lot of ways. You ain't never lie. Oh my God, Fallon used to drive me nuts, but I could not get enough of her. In Dynasty, do you remember Fallon Carrington? Oh, and even the Dynasty on Netflix, the new Dynasty. She's a beast.
I described this show tonight to people. I was like, oh, I'm doing a show tonight. I was like, I gotta leave. I had a company dinner. I was like, I gotta leave. Like, what are you doing? I was like, blackfilm.com. I was like,
what?
Can I get on? I'm like, no, man. You can't. But I described it as it's the Black Dynasty. That's how I'm describing this show. Now, if people want to know, it's the Black Dynasty.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So Teddy's condition worsens. Poor Teddy. They are slowly phasing him out. That's my theory, or not. I could be wrong. So his tremors get worse. And he tries a European experimental drug, and he's only supposed to take one pill every 8 hours. And what does Teddy do? Teddy P. He pops 2 pills back to back, right? That was back to back, wasn't it?
Yep.
And he falls out. This happens right after this family dinner, which was really orchestrated by Angela and Tyrique, for them to get into the house, to be able to get into Teddy's home office, to get his older brother's journals, to see if they could find some information that will exonerate Angela's mother, because that's who Teddy sort of blamed this whole drug situation on back in the day. And so Angela gets an opportunity to go to Teddy's office. Teddy goes to the bathroom. That's where he pops the pills, and then he passes out. So heart attack or stroke?
I think it's a stroke.
You think? And he okay.
Yeah, I think it's a stroke. He didn't do the big heart attack, just a stroke, a mild stroke.
A mild stroke, right? Because he comes back next episode strong.
The pills. That's what I think.
Say that. What'd you say?
Due to the double dosage of pills back to back, I think it's a mild stroke. Heart attack, but he was like literally, he was conscious for a little bit and then saw that. So that's why I think it's a stroke. But again, I'm a doctor.
Right. Okay, MD.
I'm not a TV doctor, so I do not know. One thing I want to mention, I mentioned this earlier in a couple episodes before. My mom has Parkinson's, so I've seen her kind of go through the ups and downs of that. And so it's tough watching this sometimes because it's a little over dramatic, I think, in some cases. But what I will say is, a lot of people don't understand when you're shaking, right? So you can't control, and Michael J. Fox has that, right? And so the reason why a lot of the people who do this lose so much weight is because you can't eat. So you have to, it's either shakes or you're doing straws, something like that. Think about it. He was just trying to just do soup. And so think about everything we do. That's what's blown my mind. And I love my mom for that. Like, the mental capacity to be like, all right, make it through another day. Because I think about next time you have your meal, whatever it is, just not being able to put your fork or spoon into something, and then you're trembling trying to eat it. Yeah. And then it's a big meal, you eating a big salad or a big bowl, whatever it is, just you shake it every time and just point like, you know what, I'm done. And so I think women are a lot better at it than men are. There's no statistic for me at all to prove.
Right, I'm like, how do you know?
But I'm just I'll put the disclaimer out there. But I just know mentally for me, I was frustrated just even thinking about it. So I can't even imagine. And Teddy, at that level of his career and stature, like, hey, I can't be bothered with this. And I'm not going to be humiliated with someone feeding me, a spoon or something that are my food. So it's very complicated. I love that they're dealing with this as well. Because besides Muhammad Ali, it's not a huge thing in the Black community. It usually happens in Caucasians. And so this is a new thing that's coming. And so I love that we're kind of have that conversation, that's something that we be oblivious to. So I love that they're approaching that. So love to see where this goes and where the character goes with it.
And I appreciate that you share that about your mom while we talk about this episode. And Rashad says, wow, that's deep. Shout out to Mama Ro. So I'm sure that's, resonating with
Mama Bailey.
Mama Bailey. Okay. And so, yeah, so the ending, I loved the ending because it was so melodramatic. Like the fall, the peeking underneath the door and the eyeballs, and Teddy, Joe Morton's character, seeing Angela's red heels and Tyrique's shiny shoes and hearing what they say. But now the question is, because that's how the episode ended, will he remember that next episode, right? Because he passes out shortly after he sees that visual. So who knows? I kind of think they'll have him remember just so he can stir up the drama. Do you think they'll have him remember? Or it'll just,
Oh, 100%.
Right, of course.
He's gonna read the
Daniels, for crying out loud.
Read the letter again, and then it's probably gonna conjure up some images and stuff like that. Oh, that's right. Or he'll see the red shoes again. Oh,
that's a good point.
I think it's a beautiful shot. It's very small.
Yes.
But colors are usually what brings back flashback memories, and so to see a red, maybe a tiptoe again, that'll be in season 2, where they go over that.
That's actually spot on, bro. That's probably going to be what triggers his memory, those red pumps.
And to add, sorry, we talked about this earlier, but the one thing I don't like about this show, is that the foreshadowing, we're not even foreshadowing, because it happen next week. And I'm like, when it's cliffhanger moments, I don't want to see that Teddy's dancing next week. Why? He just, come on, guys. Don't show me everything else but Teddy. If someone's almost in a almost death situation, just rule of thumb going forward, any hot new shows, don't show me the guy having a good time the next episode. Come on.
You know what I do? I'll stop it. I'll turn the channel, or I'll turn it off before the preview, because I don't want to see the previews. I want to be surprised. So we are in control of that, because they're not gonna.
Well, it comes next week, right? The show, and I was like, oh, and I was like, oh, next week. I was like, so, right. Next week, I'll move it.
You make a valid point, though. It kind of ruins the element of surprise. Yeah, so all in all, this episode was pretty good. Like I was plugged in. Like I feel like each episode just keeps getting better and better and better. We got 3 episodes left. I can't even call what's going to happen at this point. My little bit of theories.
Everybody dies.
Right. Everybody dies, and there's no more show. So my memorable quote, I mentioned one earlier that was delivered by Mama Olivia at the while they were shooting foul. But my one other memorable quote is when Teddy says to Leah about Tyrique, and this happens at the very beginning of the episode, God help Tyrique if he doesn't quite learn the lesson of loyalty. So what are they going to do to Tyrique when they find out that he is now Team Angela and not Team Franklin's, as they believe he should be?
Well, again, you forget Tyrique has that difficult. Remember, he has to leave early in the beginning scene, and he goes, what are you working? I'm still working on getting that job, and getting the rights to build. And so that's going to be interesting how that unfolds, right? Because he still has to deal with that conversation. So is he going to play it back and forth again? Like, the risk factor is so huge. Like, what do you want to do? If you distance yourself now, that's never going to happen for you now. So all your dreams are gone, and then you can be Team Angela all you want. But if you don't have anything, you just broke with Angela, and I don't know if she's going to like that very much.
Angela ain't going for that, right? Angela's not going for that. But that's a good point, because he's been working his entire career to get to the point that he's about to get to. So is he willing to risk it all for the love of a woman he just met? Because love that.
Into is it still weeks yet, or is it?
I don't know that it's a month, Ro. So I'm not risking it all for a month.
Exactly 1 month. Man, you better shoot.
Bye.
Cute, as my mama would say, as Mama Billy would say, you cute. You ain't that cute.
You ain't that cute. You ain't that sexy, right? So, we shall see. So my MVP for this episode was Nikki, Alana Bright's character, because we see her grow into her new life in this episode and the new opportunity it affords her. And I love that she's the type of person that she's thinking about her people back in Boston who will never get these opportunities that she's getting, which says a lot about her heart and just her ability to empathize with those that don't have. Like, they could have easily had her completely just fall into this new life and forget, people back in Boston and just be somebody else, almost looking like a Lauren, but probably not. But I'm beginning to warm up to Nikki a lot more as we see the type of young woman that she is. And I actually think her and Taylor can actually make a better team than Taylor and Lauren. So, yeah, I'm curious to see how that develops now that Taylor has dumped the spoiled brat. And that's my 2 cents.
All right. I have an MVP, but I have an honorable mention MVP. Sorry, I'm gonna add to this. I'm gonna give the honorable mention first. Shout out to Patricia Williams. Let me tell you something. There was a scene, I was like, she almost 70 years old. She looked like 35. I don't know what they did. I was like, is that what you... Whatever time machine, black don't crack. God.
Her waistline is so tiny. I'm like, wait, my waistline don't look like that.
There's a scene, they're sitting down on the couch, they're talking. I was like, she was just glowing. I was like, oh, you guys gonna go to the dinner? We're gonna go to dinner. I was like, is that Patricia? It's like she morphs throughout. She's a vampire. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it right here on national. She a vampire. That's all. She's a anyway.
Agreed. Debbie Morgan is beautiful.
Woo. So let's get into it. I'm gonna go with Taylor. Taylor is my MVP. You know why Taylor? So I apologize, Taylor. I hated on you earlier. A couple episodes ago.
You sure did.
I did. I couldn't figure out, kid. But I love that she checked Lauren, right? And that's a beautiful thing. I don't think a lot of us check our friends when they need to be checked, especially at that young age. Like, yo, man, why? But she's following her heart now, and I didn't see that in her before. I thought she was just playing these games. But she really is sincere in terms of, like, trying to build something or trying to surround herself with people she can trust. And so I think your trust gets kind of convoluted when you're around people that are always trying to do something crazy or just being shady all the time. Mm-hmm. When you finally find yourself or get around people that are like, oh wow, you're gonna be here tomorrow, and you're actually, your word is your bond. It's like that's that. I can actually trust what you're saying. Like, it changes your whole mindset, your whole aspect of life in your mind about what it could be. And so I love that Taylor feels that with Angela. I'm sorry, with Angela's daughter, and I really see them becoming something. Be careful though; she actually might get pushed off the boat for real this time, because Lauren ain't playing. Lauren, it's like chop chop. So I want to give my mention MVP to Taylor because I really love the growth of this character, and I love that they're dealing with real life stuff. Again, this show is tackling conversations that are uncomfortable, and that happens. And kids, even if it's experimental, they're still trying to learn who they are, learn their bodies, learn how to love, learn how to care for people. And it comes in all different levels, And so I'm glad that we're having that conversation. And it sometimes can be uncomfortable, for all of us, right? But we learn another side of what goes on in the world. And so that kind of opens up our minds to a next level of change, right? Now oh wow, this isn't the first time I saw this before. And so the more and more we see these things on television, I'll always argue to the day I die, you want to end racism, it starts on movies and in television, stuff like that, because that's what draws us in. And when we see positive characters, we've seen it in the Asian community, we've seen it in the Indian community, we've seen the Black community. When you put us on screen, we come out in droves. We will spend the dollar, so we want to see us in positive lights, not the extra, not the person who dies first, but characters that we can actually care and root for and fight for. And so I love to see that this show has all of those characters in it. And it's really something to come home to, and be like, hey, I'm excited to see this show tonight. So shout out again, our kind of people. Gotta see it.
Yeah, I feel the same way. There's a level of respect that this show has set across the board, and I love what you just said about it's something to come home to, because really it does feel like there's this excitement of, what am I going to learn today? What am I going to see? And representation across all boards matter. They really do. To be able to see, parts and pieces of you on a huge platform allows you to be seen and allows you to tell your story and even to feel comfortable about expressing yourself and your story in your life. And Rashad is saying, yes, I'm glad to see that the characters aren't written like caricatures. That's a good point. Right. Right.
Again, Rashad closing the show.
Closing the show.
Yes.
That's a really good point. And it never even dawned on me, because they don't come across like that. Yeah. They come across as real life humans, not even characters. So great way to end the show, Rashad. Thank you once again. Your t-shirt is in the mail. So our kind of people is taking, what'd you say, Ralph?
Rashad, you ain't never get that t-shirt.
Right. So our kind of people returns on Tuesday, November 9th. They are taking a 2-week hiatus. And guess what? So are we. We're going to take a break next week. And then the following week, which is the week of the 28th, we will be going live on Instagram. And we will figure out what day and let you all know so you can join and follow us on Rewind with Ellen on Instagram. What were you about to say, Ro?
I would say I would love to have our 2 followers show up.
Rashad, or if you're on Instagram.
You do 4 people on Instagram Live.
Right.
And we talk about some topics, for a little bit. If you get a little crazy, we're going to cut you off. But anyway, it's all love.
No, but Rashad, I'll holler at you to tell you what day we're going to go live on Instagram so you can tune in on that as well. And with that, any last words, Ro?
No. Be safe. Enjoy your little vacay. You still at your mom's?
I'm still in Charlotte with the family up until next week at some point.
Nice.
I'll be back on the scene.
While you're there, how's the weather?
It's been warm. Like the other day it was like 86, but then it dropped to like 50 something at night and it was chilly. So it's weird. It's bipolar.
Okay. All right.
And I just want to give a really quick shout out to Bet on Black for my African AF t-shirt. I'm obsessed with it. And that's betonblk.com. They got some dope t-shirts. So support the entrepreneurs. All right, Ro. It's been real.
Voice.
Thank you as always. Rashad, thank you for tuning in. Cheryl, thank you for tuning in. Lisa W., thank you for tuning in. And in Rashad's words, be safe and enjoy your break, Ro.
Thank you. I will. I'm going to grow a big mustache. Big one.
Oh, God. All right. Have a good one. Bye, everybody.